Liebe Freunde, willkommen heute hier beim Media Day von Until Dawn. Wir befinden uns in einem Berliner Untergrund und mit mir sind noch zwei andere Leute, die sich am besten einfach mal selbst vorstellen. Yeah, hello and welcome.
Hello.
Just present yourself to the audience, say what you do, what the names are.
Okay, so my name is Will Byles. I'm the Executive Creative Director of Until Dawn.
My name is Graham Reznick, and I am one of the writers of Until Dawn.
Okay, so in Until Dawn you play 8 teenagers who are trapped on a mountain. Anyone can live, anyone can die, anything can happen. So, what kind of genre would you say is Until Dawn specifically?
So, what I'll say is that Until Dawn starts off as a traditional, like a slasher horror. But things can change, and you know the whole thing is that this story evolves depending on the way you play it. So it can quite easily become something very different.
Which aspects do you need for a good horror movie or a horror game? Yeah, have to be like very bloody or psychological horror.
So I'll just do the thing, but so we have this thing, and we didn't invent this, but there's an idea that there are 3 types of fear that you can use in a horror film, and they call it terror, horror, and gore. Yeah, gross out. Terror is the kind of the idea that you're aware that there's something going on, but you don't know what it is. You can't see it. It's something in the background. It's kind of noises and things, and you can build up a level of tension with that. Horror is when you actually see the thing that there's been making the noises and all that sort of stuff. And the kind of the gore side is what it does is it shows you how fragile you are. It shows you that your body is very, very corruptible. So those are the 3 we use. We try to use terror the most. We use horror sparingly, and we try to use gore very little. But where we do use it, we use it in quite significant chunks.
Yeah. I would also say for games, as opposed to movies, part of what makes it so scary and what makes it horror is that you have agency as the character. You're controlling what's happening, and the risk for the character becomes more personally. You become more personally involved with the risk. So that makes the horror or the terror of the 3 a lot more palpable.
We know that you're a fan from Hitchcock's or Ripley's movies. Why did you choose for Until Dawn, the teen horror slasher, and not one of these other ones?
Well, as I was saying before, it definitely starts off like a slasher. The slasher is a really recognizable genre. People know where it's come from and how it's evolved. So slashers, we were saying before, starts off back in the day when it was like Psycho film, where the slasher is just a guy who has a knife, slightly strange guy. And then it becomes a bit more sort of in the 80s, a bit more supernatural, where the guy can't die and he's like keeps getting back up. And then it goes even into the kind of the slightly more modern era with Scream, where it becomes sort of like a self-referential thing, and everyone knows it. So it's become it's almost like a tradition, and it's a great place to start a horror, I think.
It's also, I think, because slasher films have gotten so meta with Scream and Cabin in the Woods, people think they know what's going to happen. They think they're in on it, and then when the rug is pulled out from them, I think it'll be even more surprising and more effective.
Yeah, and this is also a point you're excited about, that you never know what happens next.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's very much it. And also, you know that you can, with the butterfly effect, you know that when you made a decision and that butterfly effect comes up, you know that not what's going to happen next, but something big is going to happen relatively soon. So, yeah, that's quite cool as well.
Can you say how many times did you play and have like different? Well, just for you and for you, not for everyone. We know that there are hundreds of endings or in general stuff, but how many times did you try to have another ending or in this part for the game?
Well, obviously, inside the PlayStation, the entire multiverse of versions of the game is all there at the same time, and obviously because we put it together, we know what they all are. We've not experienced them all. I don't think anyone could. I think it would take years to go through every single version of it with all the right permutations. We know all the elements that put it together, so we've done all that. It's difficult to say how many times I've actually played it through now. I played it through probably about 1,000 times, I would think. Just because that's what we do when we develop stuff, is go play it and play it and play it and play it.
Because you have played it like so often, can you tell us, without spoilers maybe, well, of course, do you, both of you, have a favorite scene, or just a special scene, like emotional or psychological, like decisions, well, without saying what happens, just the kind of.
For me, there's one, and it's a tiny little thing, and it hopefully doesn't give anything away. There is one kiss in it that I think is fantastic.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember which kiss that would be.
Yeah.
For me too, it's the very small moments between the characters. I think one of the special things about Until Dawn is one of the reasons that it was made for the PS4 eventually after the PS3 version was started is because the facial capture is so good, and it can really capture subtle, understated performances from the actors. So, for example, this sequence we saw is very big, but there's a lot of scenes in the movie, or in the game, that are just about the characters interacting with each other in a very human, normal way. And it's really satisfying to play a game, and you're watching these people who are virtual, they're not real, but they're having these very human, small moments with each other. And every time one of those little moments happened, just as a writer, I was happy they worked, and then as a player, I was excited to feel like I was a part of like this intimate setting, with people just being friends. Which is cool.
Is there a character you can identify with? Just like in your childhood, or just now, maybe?
It's interesting. Yeah, you can. For me, I identify with Chris, I think, the most. I think.
Probably me too.
Yeah,
he's the nerdy one who has like the gadgets and
and he's a bit shy, and he's kind of So.
Okay.
But, any of the characters you can kind of mold towards your own personality over the gameplay.
Yeah.
So you can start off really hating the jockey character, but as you make decisions for him, he can become more like your own personality, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay, then we come to our last question. Like Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls, one of your main aspects in Until Dawn is a cinematic stage. Do you already have some future plans about doing more stuff like this, or just wait for next week and then we'll take a look?
There's definitely a thing where we need to see what the reaction is. Obviously, we don't want to go steaming down and to make another full, because these aren't easy or cheap to make. My belief, and I really hope this is the case, is that this as a genre becomes very popular, and I think I can't wait to see when we've got more of this stuff on available to play. Yeah. I'm slightly I was just to say my big regret, and this sounds dreadful, is I kind of wish I hadn't worked on this, because I'd quite like to play it. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, and I hadn't played the game until recently because I am in America and it's been developed in the UK. So I'm working on it from afar. So when I finally got to sit down and play it was such a great experience, and I love this kind of game. So I grew up with Sierra games and adventure games, and there aren't that many games out there like this. I think there's like Life is Strange is kind of the same basic category of interactive narrative, and the Walking Dead series of games are kind of in the same category. But I want more like this. Yeah. I think you should tell all types of stories with interactive narrative. It'd be great. Not just horror.
Yeah.
Okay, then thanks for the interview.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your answers. Das war's dann schon mit den beiden. Wir hoffen, wir konnten euch ein paar interessante Antworten geben und wir sehen uns zum nächsten Mal. All right.
Cool.
First off, I gotta say, I am super excited to welcome all my pals back to the annual Blackwood Winter Getaway. Let's make this one trip we will never forget.